Welcome to the Lamar Memorial Library at Maryville College. In this video, you will learn about different source types of periodicals, including popular magazines, scholarly, peer-reviewed journals, and trade publications. Understanding and knowing the characteristics of these sources and the types of information they contain can benefit your research. For each source type, we will cover its purpose, the people who write for these and their targeted audience, and the benefits and drawbacks of each. Let's begin with the source type that will be most familiar to you, popular magazines. You are probably already familiar with popular magazines. If you have read or used information from Time, Newsweek, Rolling Stone, Businessweek, or Psychology Today, you have used a popular magazine. But these are just a few examples of the many popular magazines that are published in print and online. To know whether your source is a popular magazine, look for these characteristics. Popular magazines are published to inform and entertain readers on a variety of general interest topics. These could include everything from politics, celebrity news, economic trends, or sports. Magazines are geared to sell products and services through advertising. If you see colorful ads in your sources, in either print or online, most likely, you're looking at information from a magazine. Articles in magazines are usually written by one author who works as a journalist for the magazine. You will also find articles written by guest contributors, other journalists, or freelance writers. Magazines are published to appeal to a wide audience who are general readers and non-specialists. Magazines use simple language to meet minimum education levels of general readers. There are several benefits to using magazines. The language is easy to understand, and there is timely coverage of current topics and events. These are also great resources for browsing for information on general topics or for popular culture topics. However, there are some things you need to consider when using information from magazines. Articles are selected by editors who may know very little about the topic. Many times, articles do not contain bibliographies or reference lists. This may make it more difficult to find original sources referred to in articles. Finally, these sources are published to make a profit, so there can be a fuzzy line between providing information and selling ads. Now, let's examine the next source type, scholarly, peer-reviewed journals. As we look at the characteristics of this source type, think about how these compare to popular magazines. You probably have not used scholarly and peer-reviewed journals as much as popular magazines. Some of the characteristics to know include: scholarly journals are published to inform or report original research in a specific field or discipline to the rest of the scholarly world. This is where new knowledge is reported. Articles in scholarly journals are written by scholars and researchers in a field or discipline. These are frequently written by multiple co-authors and collaborators, and their credentials and affiliations are usually listed. The audience for these sources are other scholars, students, and researchers in the field. The language contains jargon and terminology of the field, so the reader is assumed to have some knowledge of the field. There are several benefits to using scholarly, peer-reviewed journals. Articles are usually evaluated or peer-reviewed before being published, thereby eliminating errors and incorrect data. Articles contain scholarly references in the form of footnotes and bibliographies. These can help the reader find original sources referred to in articles. Finally, articles have abstracts and descriptions of methodologies used in the research process. However, there are some things to consider when searching for information from scholarly, peer-reviewed sources. These contain specialized language that can be difficult for a non-specialist to understand. These sources are not readily available at stores or newsstands. These usually require a subscription, or you have to be at a library that has access to the source or an interlibrary loan service. Because of the review process and the time needed for research, these sources are not as useful for current or emerging topics. The last source type we will cover is the one with which you probably have the least familiarity. These are trade publications. While reviewing the characteristics of trade publications, think about how these compare to magazines and scholarly journals. Trade publications are published to examine problems or concerns in a particular profession or industry. These provide specialized info about specific professions. The articles in trade publications are written by professionals in a field or by freelance authors with subject expertise in a profession. These are usually published by a trade association. The people who use this source type are practitioners of a profession, members of a trade, or professionals in an industry. It's assumed that the audience has a certain level of specialized knowledge about the profession or industry. There are several benefits to using trade publications. You can find timely coverage of professional and industry trends. References are sometimes included, making it easy to find sources. The information contained in these sources provide practical advice for professionals within a specific field or discipline. Yet, there are some things to consider when using information from trade publications. Unlike scholarly articles, these are not peer-reviewed, although the authors are usually professionals in a field. The information comes from practical knowledge or best practices within a field or discipline, but not necessarily research. These sources use jargon and terminology from the profession that may be difficult to understand. It's good to point out that many databases and search engines have limiters that you can use to narrow your search results to these source types. MCQuest, at the Lamar Memorial Library, has this option for limiting your results. If you need help finding this option in MCQuest or any other database, ask one of the librarians for assistance. If you want to know more about research or using MCQuest and other library resources, the librarians at Maryville College are ready to help you in person in the library. You can also schedule an appointment with the librarians through the quick link, "Make a research appointment," on the library's homepage. Thank you for using the Lamar Memorial Library.